Good news for Harry, who can have a week off from being the world's most unpopular prince. Enter stage left his uncle Andrew, formerly known among the UK press as Randy Andy for his colourful private life. Well, it's a label which has come back to haunt him. This week, an enormous cache of court documents has dropped in America, with the late Queen's favourite son being checked 69 times in a 900-page dossier relating to disgraced billionaire paedophile Jeffrey Epstein and the woman who facilitated his sexual crimes, Ghislaine Maxwell. The prince is accused of forcing a young Virginia Giuffre to sleep with him on 3 separate occasions at the age of just 17. Also, he's accused of joining an orgy with numerous other underage girls on Epstein's Caribbean island, enjoying daily massages on the Epstein compound, and allegedly touching another woman's breast. It's important to stress that Andrew denies all of these allegations and settled his case with Virginia Giuffre out of court with no admission of wrongdoing in 2022. Now, Andrew may or may not be guilty of these crimes, but what we do already know is enough for the Playboy Prince to be banished from the royal family once and for all. This is a prince who has brought his family and the country into disrepute by having an ill-advised friendship in the first place with a known sex offender. And he made a complete fool of himself with that Newsnight interview in which he claimed to have a disorder in which he doesn't sweat. Well, all of that has changed. He's now sweating more than a vegan in a butcher's shop. And his problems mount as he faces possible eviction from his £30 million 10-bedroom home, the Royal Lodge in Windsor, after King Charles made his brother responsible for the upkeep and, more recently, security of the premises. But this fat cat aristocrat won't go hungry. It turns out the privileged prince has inherited millions from his late mother and father. Nice work if you can get it. King Charles wants to have a slimmed-down monarchy. And the first lump of unwanted fat that he's dealing with is Andrew himself, who hasn't just shamed his own family, he is a national embarrassment. Prince Andrew is a man who was gifted a house by his mother when he got married, but sold it to an Arab businessman for £15 million in 2007. That's when £15 million was a lot of money. And after a lengthy court battle over massive unpaid debts, he finally flogged his Swiss ski chalet for just shy of 20 mil. Ultimately, wherever this story goes, and of course it could get worse, which has huge implications for King Charles, Andrew's behaviour has been below par for a top royal, and he hasn't shown an ounce of contrition for the embarrassment he's caused. When only the permanently broke, toe-sucking royal reject Sarah Ferguson is backing you, you know you're in trouble. Through his own mixture of idiocy and arrogance, Randy Andy has brought this on himself, and in my view, it's game over. It's time to march the grand old Duke of York back down the hill and keep him there. I'm told all he does these days is luxuriate on his royal estate and ride his horses. Well, he's run his last race, and it's time he was consigned to the knacker's yard. The party's over for the Playboy Prince. Do you have an ounce of sympathy for Prince Andrew? Let me know your thoughts, Mark at gbnews.com. I'll get to your email shortly, but let's hear from my top pundits. The Green Goddess herself, journalist, model and fitness expert Diana Moran, top political commentator Benedict Spence, and television personality and broadcaster Precious Muir. Your reaction to what I've had to say, Benedict Spence, is there any way back for the Playboy Prince?
I don't think there's been a way back for some time. I think that his standing among the general public hit a bottom some time ago and has sort of stayed there. It's bizarre, actually, that I don't think that the release of these files has actually done his reputation any greater damage. It's only sort of seemed to bring other people down alongside to roughly where Prince Andrew also is. So no, I don't think that there is a way back. I don't think there's any great desire, even within the royal household, to have him brought back. Certainly, I don't think you're going to find much on this panel, put it that way.
How about you, Precious Muir? Do you have sympathy for Prince Andrew, which some do? After all, he has been prosecuted of no crimes.
Well, I personally have to say this. As a woman with a vagina, I don't have the luxury of getting on a private plane and going to an island and not asking any questions whatsoever. The fact is, you go somewhere, you ask those questions. So for me, it is very, very vital that they figure out why these people on that list attended that island and maybe several times. That is a big question. And no, I do not have any sympathy for Prince Andrew. Maybe he's guilty by association, but at the end of the day, we have to find out the specifics as to why these people on this list were at this island.
What sanctions, Diana Moran, should be meted out on Prince Andrew, if any?
Well, there's certainly going to have to be something meted out. He was a royal prince. He should have behaved like a royal prince. He's made an absolute mockery. Poor King Charles to have a brother who's being up to all of this. As you've said in your report, he lives in a £30 million pound house. He's surrounded by people who are still trying to, be subservient to him. His ex-wife, or is she his ex-wife, still living there. What on earth is going on? When is he going to get into the real world? What also worries me is, by association, all those other people on that list. Some of those names are a bit worrying.
It is worrying.
You're absolutely right. I mean, Precious Muir, Diana Moran mentions Sarah Ferguson, and she said ex-wife, or is she the ex-wife? I don't know. Are they still banging? It's anyone's guess. But it's been suggested in the Express today by the respected royal reporter, former royal reporter at the BBC, Precious Muir, that perhaps Prince Andrew should marry Sarah Ferguson to save his reputation. How about that for a solution?
I think that the reputation is not possible to be salvaged. Like, it is really at the point where there's no return.
How about Benedict Spence? There's a really explosive article by Michael Cole in the Express today. He's a good friend of mine. He shoots from the hip. He says that if Prince Andrew married Sarah Ferguson, it would completely detoxify him.
I don't think it would detoxify him. I would hope that he would be marrying Sarah Ferguson because it would make the two of them happy, not because it would potentially rehabilitate his image. Who knows? Stranger things have happened, but I don't think that that marriage, rerunning that particular marriage, would.
Well, I wonder about that, Diana Moran. A big wedding. The country gets involved, the press get on side, redemption. She basically saves the Playboy Prince.
Absolutely
not at all.
I mean, this whole thing stinks. Why did he have a settlement out of court?
12 million.
12 million.
12
there you go.
million.
12 million. Why, if he had done nothing?
Yeah,
Come on.
I think that it's quite concerning. 12 million to somebody you are unsure of meeting is quite a big sum of money.
And Precious Muir, can I thank you for confirming tonight that you are a woman with a vagina?
I am a woman. I don't have the luxury of just going places and not figuring out if it's going to be a dangerous place. I wouldn't go to an island where I can't get off it and I don't know what's going on there. So those questions need to be asked.
It's so hard to know these days. I get very confused.
I had to clarify.
Listen, folks, let me tell you, producer Greg's been in my ear, a developing story. We've got tomorrow's papers, and Prince Andrew features in two big stories in tomorrow's papers. That's at 10:30.